It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. Recently, somebody that I know um, wrote a wrote a book, and I mean he's wrote he's written a few other books, but this is his latest updated version of you know what he feels is good a good topic of conversation. So he labeled the name of the book, and I'm not endorsing it in any way. Things that your pastor wants to say but can't. Now, I'm going to tell you, I haven't read the book, not yet. So, I don't know what's completely in the book, but I'm guessing that he's leaving out a lot of key points that, don't get normally touched upon because it's a fear that, well, it's a fear that they have. If I say it, it'll happen, and then it'll all it'll all go to plots. Well, okay, maybe by ignoring it, skirting around the truth, you might avoid it for a little while, just a little while, not too long, but just a little while. But eventually, it all comes around. So going based on that assumption that, again, not having read the book, but just knowing the man himself, you know, it's most likely not going to be in there. No matter how many times you read it, you know, cover to cover. I mean, you'd be searching for a needle in a haystack. You'd have a better chance at finding Jimmy Hoffa than you would finding it in there. So let me just get right to the point and tell you what I'm talking about. I'm sure he's dedicated a section to things that pastors want to say in church, but they don't want to say it because they're fearful of losing congregation members. See, church has become more nowadays, as far as I'm concerned, it's more about the numbers and getting the numbers involved than it is about the substance and the meat and the potato of it. And what I mean by that is that they want to do all their best work inside four walls. That's what they want to do. They want to do their best work inside four walls. They don't want to step outside and do outreach in the park and all that other good fun stuff that you can do. So it becomes more about bring them to us and then we'll handle it from there. But once we get them in the door, now we have to be very sensitive and very careful about how we approach certain subjects, like homosexuality. You cannot preach the old fire and brimstone sermon about hell and sin and homosexuality and not going to heaven, because these are people that are going to get into a giant uproar. They're going to throw, a hissy fit, a temper tantrum. They're going to cry wolf. This is what people this is what people in the year 2022 do. They cry wolf. So rather than listening to them cry wolf and get angry and storm off and talk about how you're a racist and you're a bigot and you're homophobic, they pander, they kowtow. And they say nothing on these subjects. Nothing. Not a peep. And it keeps everybody happy because that's the way it should be. Everybody should be happy, happy, happy. Well, you see, it's not about being happy, happy, happy. What it needs to be is no guts, no glory. Much like a Marine, you need to be a hard charger. You need to tell people the way it is. Even if for the most minute second of their lives, the truth stings them, it hurts them, it makes them feel bad. At that moment in time, it's what they've needed to hear all along. See, I've always maintained that, you know, truth makes you free. If you're acting like a brat, you need to be told you're acting like a brat. Grow up. I had that with a buddy of mine. Thought with the wrong part. And one day finally just got fed up with this crap and told them. I said, you're older than I am. Act like it. Grow up, dude. You're not 13 anymore. That kind of behavior don't fly. Well, I can do whatever I want. I'm grown. Okay, you're grown. You're grown. Great, great response. I'm grown. And you're still not, how can I put it? You're never not too old to get your butt kicked one way or the other. And you may not realize it. But no matter what age you are, you can still get your butt kicked. Because there are still people that are generations ahead of you. And they still cling to the values that they were brought up on. And they don't waver away from those values, those morals, standards. They don't waver away from those. They stand by them. It's too old fashioned, tough. 30, 40 years ago, 60 years ago, you didn't hear about kids bringing guns and knives and making bombs at school, now did you? No, you didn't. Why? Because you didn't dare. Because your mother and your father would beat you beyond recognition. Send you away to a boarding school, send you away to military school, send you out to the convent. They go as far as putting you out the house and didn't care. I know a woman who at about, oh, 15, she had gotten she had gotten raped. And as a result of being raped, she also happened to get pregnant. And when her father found out that she had gotten pregnant, the father put her out of the house, took her to New York City, and dropped her off, and said, "You cannot come home until you have an abortion." Period. End of story. And that's exactly what she did. She ended up having a forced abortion. Came back home, and I guarantee you the father had a very, very, very short leash on her, boy. Oh, I can imagine how short of a leash he had her on. She didn't dare step out of line because she knew Dad didn't play. She knew Dad was serious. I believe at one point he grabbed one of her boyfriends, took him down by the Housatonic, and either threatened to throw him into the Housatonic or had a gun and was going to shoot him. He was serious. As serious as a heart attack, boy. Now, see, those kinds of stories scare the crap out of people, but they should inspire people to say, man, those were the right times. Those were the times when people didn't get away with bloody murder. Not like they do today. Because see, when you say silence is my compliance, no, silence is not your compliance. Because we don't know what the wheels in your head that are turning constantly, and yeah, I'm talking about the hamster, the gerbil that's running on the wheel. You know, we don't know if that hamster or that gerbil is running on that wheel. You might have just shut your brain off enough to where you said, you know what, I'm gonna go do it anyway. I mean, you take a look at people that are strung out on drugs, constantly strung out on drugs. I know one in particular who did it year after year, strung out on drugs. Cocaine was his drug of choice. And as he was detoxing, luckily for him, he always had a friend who was right there to help him along through it. And all he had to do was call him up. And he'd come over and he'd sit with them and he'd talk with them and he'd pray with them. He would do everything that he could in his in his power to make sure that he was a-okay, even if that meant that I have to drop you off at rehab and leave you there. Even if that means that I have to walk you in and check you in myself, I will walk you in and I will check you in myself. But then comes the bad news. 2 Timothy 3:1. End times, right? End times. Everybody can quote it. It's an easy verse to remember. People will be haughty, blasphemous, deceitful, lovers of themselves. I mean, you can go right down the list and look, and I'll tell you something. You'll see it. Oh, you'll see it big time. And yeah, it does, you know, start mainly in the pulpit because it's a reflection thereof. Like an ex-girlfriend's church. Now here's a congregation of about 20 people. It's very small, but the only guy that's going out there and doing any kind of work, is the pastor of the church. And that's it. He's going to the homeless shelters. He's doing the outreach. Everybody else is sitting home embroidering or sewing or cooking or going to visit family or friends or, you know, going out, catching a flick at the movies. All those things. But this guy, he was doing all the work. And the only time they ever got out, and it's the only time they ever got out, was when the town would basically gather at, you know, the center. They had like a green area, and they would set up booths and stuff like that. And they would set up a booth, and of course, Tanya would make, embroidered stuff that she could, sell. But other than that, nope. They wouldn't budge to try to find new members. See, I've always maintained that if I was the pastor of that church, I'd periodically lock the doors on purpose. Lock them, chain them. Can't get in. Make them stand outside for a little while. And then pull up and say, there's no church today. And watch all their heads droop down to the floor. Oh, did I say that there's no church? Oh, no, I meant to say that there's no church here. No, no, field trip, boys and girls. Yep, that's right. Field trip time. Time to go on a road trip. And I don't care if we got to go to Brookfield. I don't care if we got to go to Litchfield. I don't care if we got to go to Waterbury. I don't care where we got to go. We're going to load up the cars. We're going to get in there. We're going to go to this location and we're going to do some work. And you say, well, no, you can't do that. Yes, you can. It might not be popular, but who cares? It's time for you to start doing the stuff. This is what John Wimber was preaching at the Vineyard a long time ago. Doing the stuff. Evangelizing to the lost and the dying out there that don't come to church on Sunday morning. Sometimes you have to go to them. They're not always going to come to you. But you see, again, pastors will not tell you any of that stuff. What they'll tell you is that, well, we can wait until they come to us. Why? Why would you wait for them to come to you? Because you can't be bothered to do something that takes a little time out of your day? Oh no. Oh no. Well, it's not that. Well, what is it then? Well, it's just that you can't be bothered because there are other things that distract you from doing what you know you need to be doing. Saturday baseball, Sunday football, Monday through Friday work. Well, I got responsibilities. I got to take care of this and this and this. So you're more obsessed with your own personal well being and your own personal gain than you are somebody else. Well, no, that's not it at all. Well, then what is it? See, if you were obsessed with somebody else's well being, the welfare, you'd be right there. You'd be right there. You wouldn't worry about yourself. You'd say, you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah, I don't have a lot. I don't have a pot to pee in and a window to throw it out of. But I'm not completely desolate. I'm not lacking. I'm not void. I can still go home. I can still live in my four little walls. I can be in bed in time. I can be home to watch my favorite TV show in time. But I'd rather, well, I'd rather not do that other stuff. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to be around ne'er do wells. No, you don't want to be near ne'er do wells? Why not? Well, they make me uncomfortable. They smell. Yeah, well, you don't smell might pretty yourself, so I wouldn't talk about they smell. Have you sniffed yourself lately? Yeah, they're unpleasant to be around. I've smelled them, believe me. And a lot of them, I'll tell you, you could smell them from about a mile away. You know they ain't had a bath in ages. So you get all the sweat, all the dirt, the grime, the gunk, and you get that wonderful smell, and it gets stuck in your nostrils, and it's a stench. Now, before anybody goes and starts, you know, screaming, well, I bet you don't go and hang around those people. I've done it for a lot longer than you think. I've done it for about 3 years. Friday night supper gathering at a Lutheran church down the road from where I used to live. So no, I've done it. Believe you me, I've done it. And I did it even before that. Let me tell you something about things that they eat. It's enough to make a billy goat puke. And that's being nice about it now. But that stuff's enough to make a billy goat puke. Wilted greens, old food. I mean, you name it. And you know what the worst part is? When you have to eat it. Because then you really get the full effect. And I do mean the full effect of just how bad this stuff really is. I mean, you really don't know how bad it is until you've taken a good chomp out of that. And I'll tell you something. If you can hold it down, all the power to you. But it's pretty raunchy. But you see, these are things that seem to slip the mind of a pastor because he's so busy, and I mean so busy, working on the weekly sermon, and then he's got the other things going on in life. See, what you need is you need people who don't need all that extra time on their hands, all that extracurricular activity. If that's what they want to, if that's what they want to do, then go do it. But if you're gonna serve this man's army, no, you got to be willing to give 110, man, 110 every day. It's all about 110. There's no half-heartedness in this man's army. Harvest is ripe, laborers are few. So, the choice is pretty obvious. Lace up your boots. Get your uniform on. Load up your gun. Lock and load. Lock and load, folks. That's my message for the day. Till the next time.